Hey, good morning. Today is June the 24th. And the subject of this video came about because of the roundtable I have that you can be a part of if you're a subscriber to me on Gumroad, GroupApp, Twitter subscriber, Substack. You have a lot of options. And we kind of reset how we do our roundtables. Instead of now just being an open forum, we discuss a particular topic. I think it really well this week, just yesterday. And we talked about, do elections really matter? Because we're coming into the election season. I think it really will kick off this Thursday with the Trump Biden debate. I'm looking forward to that. I will be streaming that. We'll discuss it. It should be a lot of fun. Will Biden, will the drugs work? I'm sure Biden will have all the questions beforehand, but will he still poop his pants? I mean, there's going to be a lot of interest and intrigue here. But the bigger question is, does it really matter that much? I know everyone's going to, on both sides, oh, this is the most important election in our lifetimes. I've heard that about every election of my life. And in general, things really don't change that much. So I thought I'd dig in and take a look, like, what if really Trump won? What could we expect different than Biden? And does it really matter that much? And so I wrote down, I think, like the key criteria that's important to a lot of us. And number one is the whole demographic replacement. Because if we lose our homeland, lose our country, we no longer as a people have our homeland, the people that created this country, then what difference does it make? At that point, all the other policies like tax policy or energy policy, why that may be important in the short term. In the long run, it doesn't matter. In the long run, the key thing is to have a home and your people. If you lose your home or your people, then everything else is sort of trivial. So you could, as long as you have your homeland and your people, you could have like a horrible communist system, but you could always replace that system and you're still whole, right? You could still recover from that. But if you lose your people, it's over, right? You're not going to recover from that. Carthage never recovered from Rome after Rome destroyed it and totally wiped them out. So that's the number one thing. And that has to do with immigration. And at first, yeah, this was to me like, well, I was excited about Trump. He said on day one, he's going to deport all the illegals. He's going to close the borders. And I was excited about that. But then last week, and I did a video about this, Trump said, as long as you have a college degree, even a community college degree, I guess from anywhere in the world, he's going to staple a green card on your diploma. So this is like a huge loophole. Everyone in the world will be able to come into the United States as long as they have a degree. We don't even know if the degree is valid. I'm sure there's going to be tons of fraud. Like in India, they'll have all these fake degrees. But even if the degrees are real, I still don't want them in here. I want my homeland, my people, my language, my culture. I don't care about their degrees. And this is a problem. So either way, yeah, Joe Biden is continuing the policy of destroying us. But it sounds like Trump is going to have the same policy, but okay, we're just going to do it legally. And that's the difference. So I'm sort of disappointed. I really don't see that much of a difference. Either way, the demographic displacement is going to continue and will accelerate. And I remember the Trump presidency. We all want to think that once Trump is in on day one, yes, there's going to be teams rounding up. So late at night you hear mariachi music, people screaming in Spanish. All of a sudden there are going to be people coming round them up and send them to Mexico. I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't think that's going to happen because the president only has so much control. You have the Congress, but then you all have the institutions that are so left-wing, like the universities, the media, the legal system. I just don't see a scenario where there's going to be mass deportations. Yeah, it sounds good, but I don't think it's really going to happen. So if that doesn't happen, meanwhile, everyone that has a college degree is going to be legally flooding into our country. What's the point? I don't see much of a difference between Biden and Trump at that point. So that is a huge issue right there. I don't really see that. Now, the second point has to do with all these wars, especially with Israel acting up again. Obviously, Trump is a huge Zionist. So is Biden. Both sides are controlled by that lobby. But with at least the left, they have this idea, well, really, the Jewish people are white and they're exploiting brown people. But with Trump now, it will be all like he can go full force with his whole make Israel great again agenda. I don't see that changing at all. So if you're worried about who you're going to vote for because that's your number one issue, which it isn't for me, but if that's your number one issue, probably Biden's a little bit better because their base has kind of in general, like, I don't know if we want to support this genocide of brown people by white people. They look at the Jewish people as white. Whereas at least the leadership in the Republican Party, they're all on board with this. They don't have any issues with that. So I don't think that would make a big change one way or the other. Now, the economy, again, what will Trump do exactly different than Biden? We're out of control. There's no brakes on the system. Trump didn't really cut spending or anything. I don't see that happening. I don't see much of a difference between the economic policies between Biden and Trump. You could say, oh, we had all this inflation under Biden. But to be fair, a lot of that started because of the stimulus checks that happened under Trump, because there's typically a lag. When you print a bunch of money like Trump did, gave everyone a check $1,200, it's not like inflation is going to show up the next day at McDonald's. It takes like a year to get through the system. So it kind of screwed Biden. And I'm not giving Biden an excuse. He's spending like mad too. But I don't see either the Democrats or the Republicans reining in spending at all whatsoever. And we're headed to a fiscal disaster. It's just, we're headed to the cliff. And there's no brakes on this train as we head to this cliff. And I don't see the Democrats or the Republicans being anything different here. Yeah, so the economy won't change. Then the other big issue is just how radical the left is. And if anything, if Trump gets in, this will finally give them an excuse to hyper radicalize again. I think Trump being elected the first time really changed the culture in a negative way for people that dissented against the establishment. Not because of Trump, ironically, it's because the rest of the establishment, if you remember, when Trump won, all the big tech, they got together and they said, well, this is partially our fault that Trump won because we allowed people to speak freely, share memes. Never again, never again. We have a responsibility to prevent him from someone like him ever being elected again. So we need to start censoring people, deplatforming people for political reasons. That happened in 2016. Before 2016, a lot of people forget because it's now, 8 years ago? The internet was pretty free by today compared to today's standards and social media. That's when things really changed. All the hyper lockdowns and censorship was after the Trump victory. And Trump was oblivious to it at the time. Remember his famous phrase, oh, we'll monitor the situation. It came back to bite him. He never did shit about it. And I could see the same thing happening if Trump wins. This will give all the big tech and the big banks and everything else to double down on trying to shut bank accounts of people that support Trump, to shut down any discussions supporting Trump. I could see that definitely happening again, where you would think things would get better under Trump, but it will actually get worse. A couple other things, though, that Trump, the people in charge, I think are seeing signs they may be okay with Trump getting back in as the president, the people that really control things. Again, when it comes to the Israel issue, Trump is 100% on board with us backing Israel no matter what. Probably even more so than the Biden administration, because he doesn't have to worry about, oh, it looks like white people oppressing brown people. They don't care about that. So we're going to go full speed ahead with that. I think we're going to see that continue. It also will act as somewhat of a pressure relief valve for everyone. It's like, okay, well, don't worry about civil war. See, the democratic process still works. I told you there's no fraud. This is still a free country. You can still get out and vote for someone that supports your values. So yeah, let's just continue with this democracy bit. You can still work. When in the long term, it can't work if you're being replaced by all these people being poured it in. It's not going to work long term. We'll eventually be the minority and we won't have self-determination. But this is a way to try to keep people, feeling better so they won't lose all faith in the system. And they'll have faith in the election process again. While nothing major will change, we'll still have 100% unconditional support for Israel. Immigration's still going to be huge. There may be some variations of it. No one's really going to be deported. And it's all there. Then if we're headed for an economic disaster, which I think we really are, that's another factor where they can lay this at the feet of Trump instead of Biden and the Democrats. So if they see really bad things happening coming up, Russia finally winning in Ukraine, an economic disaster, they would rather have this on the Republican watch so they can blame the Republican. All right. After saying that, though, there are some advantages for voting for Trump. One of those is he was good on the energy policy. He's rejecting all this green stuff. So at least in the short term, this will make life a little bit better for us, give us a little bit more money. Supreme Court judges, that's a key thing. There's going to be some vacancies potentially in the next 4 years. And if it's Joe Biden, you're going to get a black female lesbian Marxist. Let's just be honest. With Trump, he could actually appoint people on the Supreme Court that do somewhat a better job, that somewhat love America. That is a reason. And then finally, it's just going to be more entertaining with Trump. I guess there's going to be some amusement with Biden watching him slowly die in the next term. I don't know, that's getting a little bit old. But with Trump, he's funny and he really triggers the left. So you get to see all that. And that's another thing you may see again if Trump gets in is the Democrats in the power system give a green light again to Antifa and BLM to stop burning down buildings again and rioting. I think a lot of those people, they miss those days. They want to see that return. And it's been hard to do under Biden because the Biden regime controls everything. It's bad optics. But if Trump's in, this is okay. I know all you shit libs, you miss burning down buildings and having your peaceful demonstrations. Here's your chance to go out and do that again. So I could see that happening. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I still will vote for Trump. I'm going to support Trump. Don't get me wrong. But I think it's important to have a realistic view of what will happen if Trump is elected president. I don't see really that many radical changes. So if you're really hoping all illegals are going to be deported, we're going to seal America, not allow any more immigrants in, protect our culture, and have an American first policy, and it's going to fix all the economic issues, and we're not going to be in all these wars for Israel. Yeah, you're going to be sadly disappointed. Back to you guys later.